Peace. Peace and elevation. It's your brother Mike X. Welcome to the Wake Up Project with brother Mike X. We got a great show, a lot to talk about tonight. I appreciate every single person who has been with us since we started in early March. And this is our 9th show, I believe. And we're going to continue to do what we can to create this venue as a place where those who are ready for a progression of our discussion away from victimhood, away from blaming and shaming, to the responsibility that each one of us have to challenge ourselves to grow into. This is a place where we're striving to provide that platform. Briefly, I want to read our mission statement, vision statement for the Wake Up Project. This group has been created to give people of Black/African descent a venue where they can come to learn and to teach our people the importance of gaining and maintaining a strong cultural, spiritual, mental, physical, political, economic, and social consciousness and awareness as individuals and as a people. The Wake Up Project will not focus on the problems and what is wrong, but more importantly, on solutions and what we must do ourselves to make things right for our babies and for our collective future. The Wake Up Project will not play a part in promoting favoritism or blind allegiance to any narrow-minded, ideological, philosophical, or religious points of view. We are open to build with any and all who desire to contribute to a much-needed wake-up call to and for our people in the various Black neighborhoods across America. Wow. So we're going to get started. We're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. I pray that the family will challenge themselves to take part in this much-needed discussion for us to work to get ourselves together. The number to call in tonight, the numbers are 718-705-4959 or 914-969-6499. Okay, that's 718-705-4959 or 914-969-6499. Wow. I love social media. I don't love everything that comes on social media, but I love social media because it gives us an opportunity to use it powerfully, to have discussions about responsibility, about healing, about us working on ourselves as individuals so that we can show up for a much needed unifying process of healing, of regeneration, of empowerment. And so I love social media. One of the reasons why I love social media is not just what I stated, but also I'm looking at Facebook Live right now, and I see one of the two family members, you know, that I grew up with in Edenwald Projects, located in the Northeast Bronx of New York City, the 3rd largest project development in New York City. So I shout out my brother Mike. I'm not going to say your whole government, fam. I don't know if you want your whole government blown up like that. But peace, Mike. Praying all is well with you and your family. And the brother Coma, you know, brother G, you know, shouting out my Edenwald Projects brethren. You know what I mean? Thank you for coming through. I see the good brother Greg X. I see the good brother Isaiah. And I see Melvina. You know, this is my first time seeing you, but thank you for coming through. Family, I want to address this shyness, because we've been talking about, you know, the shyness over the last couple of podcasts and how there are a lot of people that I know personally that have voiced to me that they're too shy to call in and to take part in this elevated discussion. So I want to take some time to address that tonight. A few shows ago, I talked about the pyramid. No, not the Rockefeller. I know this looked like Jay-Z with the Rockefeller, but I just do this. It's not a diamond that I'm doing a pyramid. And the pyramid represents an old saying. Small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, but great minds discuss ideas. Small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, but great minds discuss ideas. And many of you, if not most of you, who say you are shy, you're not actually shy. You're not actually shy. You are actually quite bold in many references. I see you sometimes in your boldness. Bold and stuck in paradigms / habits of comfortability. So you're not really shy. In relation to a show like this, you become shy. But in relationship to some of the paradigms, small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, a lot of you are very bold. You boldly talk about sports, entertainment, your neighbor down the street. You know what I mean? If I was to advertise this podcast debating who is the greatest basketball player of all time, Jordan or LeBron, the phone boards would light up immediately. Everybody, a whole lot of people will want to take part boldly in that discussion. Who's better, Jordan or LeBron? Boldly, a lot of people boldly are talking about Kanye right now. You know, that's the latest outside distraction that is being hyped up to pull us outside of ourselves, where the real power lies. The power of choice, you know, Kanye talked about. Free will. That's where your real power lies. But a lot of us, we get caught up not really taking positive ownership of taking advantage of our power of choice, our power of free will, to step outside of the many boxes that society strives to keep us within. But a lot of us, when it comes time to step out the box, to have an empowering discussion, a lot of us, we claim being shy instead of taking that boldness from where we're used to, being, robbing ourselves or disconnecting ourselves from those boxes, from those discussions, and using the power, the energy that we would put into a discussion like who's better, Jordan or LeBron, or your neighbor down the street, to using that energy to talk about what do we need to do for ourselves in this day and time, to repair ourselves, to get our energy together so that we can begin to grow, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so that we can change, transform, elevate not only ourselves, but our relationships with other members of the family, for the community itself. A lot of these discussions at the end of the day, while they might be entertaining, and I'm not going to front like I don't get involved in those discussions, don't get me wrong, because I do get involved in those discussions. I like basketball. I like entertainment. I like going to a movie here and there. I watch TV, you know what I mean? But by the same token, I don't allow myself to get stuck in those paradigms of putting all of my energy into the basket of having those discussions, but and to the detriment of striving to rise to the level of great minds or great-minded discussions where the solutions live, where the real empowerment, where the real transformation, actually lives. Shout out to Micah. Shout out to the brother Ray. Shelly, Daphne, Sean, shout out. Thank you for coming through to the Wake Up Project. Family, there's an old saying, energy flows where your attention goes. Energy flows where your attention goes. Where you choose to place your energy, that's where the power is going to be used up. Is it going to be used up on talking about the problems and giving the problems more of your attention, more of your focus, more of your power? Or are you going to choose to put your energy and your focus on discussion along the lines of becoming great, becoming free, becoming empowered? That's the power that we have, you know? The conversations that you willfully choose to participate in will lead you and us from or to healing, regeneration, empowerment, redemption, and salvation, or they will further entrench / stick us in ignorance, fear, powerlessness, hatred, narrow-mindedness, bigotry, and division. And this is where a lot of us are stuck. A lot of us are stuck in all of those lower positions where we rob ourselves of the ability to begin to breathe life into our own creativity, our own imagination, so that we can create the necessary structures and the necessary relationships that we need to be able to create in this day and time. Some of us will participate in sticking ourselves in endless emotionally charged arguments over colors, fashion, entertainment figures and sports stars and teams, the projects versus the private houses, the cities versus the suburbs, so on and so forth. So what are you saying? Brother Mike, is it wrong to keep up and maintain personal preferences? I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm not saying that is wrong. It is your personal preferences that will attract and guide you towards becoming and being your best possible self, rooted in your own personal skills. You know, the culture that you strive, that you choose to align yourself with, the spiritual paradigm that you choose to align yourself with, or your talent for being an artist, your talent for being someone who can work with their hands, you know, your talent for being an organizer, your talent for being an orator, someone who can speak powerfully. You should definitely connect with your preferences, because those preferences is what's going to allow you to grow into the person that you're supposed to be and become at this day and time. Giving me the unique flavor and swagger that will attract other people to join on, you know, or not necessarily to join on with us, but join on to seeking their own unique flavor and swagger, you know. And we, you know, everybody or a lot of people, they gravitate towards our unique flavor and swagger. And they found ways to take our unique flavor and swagger and to monetize that unique flavor and swagger and to laugh all the way to the bank, you know, with the creativity a lot of times that comes from the inner city neighborhoods. Is it shyness that is stopping us from pursuing the development and unfoldment of our own personal greatness, from which to personally benefit and from which to share our best self? Is it shyness or is it fear? I think that it's more so is fear. It's not shyness that's stopping us. Because again, I say, a lot of us, we're not really shy. A lot of us boldly, you know, take up positions, and we're willing to fight to the death over certain, beliefs, or fight to the death over, I'm rolling with the Knicks, or I'm rolling with the Lakers, or I'm rolling with, whoever, or I'm rolling with, I was born and raised in the North. So, that's who my allegiance is to, up north or in the New York City area. That's who I'm going to give my time and my attention to repping. No, I'm not necessarily going to commit myself to stepping outside of the box. To put myself first, to be unique. And that's what time it is. We need people who are going to fight at this day and time. To bring forth, to step outside of those lowly conversations where there's no power. We can talk about each other and we can rag on each other, or we can maintain, our identification with certain belief systems. And then anybody who steps outside that particular belief system, we can label that person the enemy, thereby cutting ourselves off of the collective power and energy that we might be able to manifest as we come together. We could do that if we want. We can go to war over, like I said, Kanye West talking about slavery was a choice. And we can go to war, pro Kanye versus, anti Kanye. But at the end of the day, if we don't give ourselves permission to begin to rise to that level where we're looking to see ourselves as the great people, that some of those people that we're talking about, who are representing greatness on the basketball court, who are representing greatness as far as music and entertainment is concerned. If you gave yourself permission to see greatness and to cultivate greatness within your own life, what would that greatness manifest itself as coming from your own life? How good would it be if you really committed yourself to be great? To see yourself as a great personage? How would that help you in your own personal life and in the relationships that you have with your family, where you can seek to become a great man, you can seek to become a great woman, you can seek to become a great father, a great mother, a great brother or sister, a great nephew, you know what I mean? A great uncle or aunt, where you can begin to, feed that aspiration to be great, to restore a greatness of health to your physical being, where you can cultivate a great mindset, where you're not looking to minimize yourself, but you're looking to maximize yourself, where you can focus on creating and maintaining a great emotional attitude of love and peace, of harmony, so that you can get out of the business of feeling that you're stuck in outside paradigms and there's nothing that you can do about your circumstances without permission being given from those who have built and maintained the system that we're living up under. Where you feel some of us living down to, waiting for our people to wake up, as we've been talking about. And you allow your emotional, your emotional vibration to be captive based upon who's feeling you or not, who's willing to stand beside you or not. And I know that this is hard. It's very hard, It's very hard to step outside the box. It's very hard to step out from amongst the group where it's easy to hide, That's where the mob mentality a lot of times, has so much power and attraction and influence. A lot of people, they don't want to stand under that spotlight. that glaring spotlight, like this spotlight right now. It takes courage. It takes hope. It takes love. It takes faith that I'm doing this for a reason. A lot of times to step outside from the Misery Loves Company group. To step outside of that box and to say, yo, we can do better than what we're doing. And I don't want to make this about me personally, but in a way it is being made about me personally. In a way it is being made about me personally as the host of the Wake Up Project with Brother Mike X. The one who's sitting here striving to stand in the gap, to represent higher thought and consciousness for the time being, until some of us get so sick and tired of being afraid to make the moves that we need to make that they will seek to join on. I like what you've been doing so far, Brother Mike. But what your message needs, or what your efforts needs, it needs this, it needs that. And I'm not going to put the full weight on you to strive to add that to what you're already doing. I see and appreciate what you're already doing. And I have something, I have a skill, I have a talent that I can add on to what you've already been doing to make it more powerful, to make it more attractive. This is the type of connection that we need to be able to get to. How can, where are the great minds? I know that this society has taught us that we've been nothing. And a lot of us believe that we are to remain, you know, creatures of comfort, creatures of habit, to be entertained. Misery loves company, that attitude, or the ignorance is bliss attitude. Or I'm too shy to speak up the way I see you speaking up, Brother Mike. What happens is you burn those who would strive to introduce a higher way of us connecting with one another. There's a lot of weight that gets put on that individual. And what happens is, over time, that weight begins to wear down that individual. And we can't continue to allow that to happen. We can't continue to allow that to happen. Don't wait for me to tell you where I need you to be and what I need you to bring. Think about what you have to offer. Whether you have a particular gift or skill that you've already identified, or hopefully you draw some inspiration from what I'm striving to do. And you use that inspiration to challenge yourself, to take positive ownership of that life that you have. That life that you have, for as long as you have it, that's your opportunity to pursue greatness, to pursue empowerment, to cultivate your talents, your gifts, to save yourself first and foremost, and then to be a powerful influence in the lives of those that you have influence over. This is what's needed at this day and time. So, what I started doing, peace and elevation to the family that I see. I see some real. I see Bertina, Sister Bertina. I see the brother Arion. I see the Sister China. I see Brother Tamik. I see Sister Daphne, Sister Brittany, and Sister Rosemary. The number to call in to the show is 718-705-4959 or 914-969-6499. And some of those people, your names that I just called out that I see on the Facebook Live, I challenge you to step up and to call in, even if it's just to say hi. I'm no longer shy. So, being someone who grew up, who loves basketball, you know, for instance, being someone who grew up with hip hop, and I'm not talking about new millennium hip hop, I'm not talking about 90s hip hop, I'm not even talking about 80s hip hop, though I love 80s, you know, going into 90s hip hop the most. That's my personal preference. You know, I'm talking about 70s hip hop that I grew up with when I was a little person. And because I love these things, I have preferences. And because I have preferences, it easily sets me up to get into a debate with someone who is more partial to new millennium hip hop. And they'll start talking about why they love this style of hip hop. And I'll start talking about, yo, this is why I love this particular era of hip hop. Or, you know, basketball, the way it's played today versus how it was played back in the 90s. And again, you know, there's a lot of boldness there. There's a lot of opinionated, emotional, you know, boldness, you know, to go in on a discussion like that. And over the years, I found myself sometimes, you know, I allow, you know, I'm not a perfect, you know, angelic, you know, person. And I'm not judging. I'm just describing what has happened in our neighborhoods, particularly in regards for us to be able to move from just participating in small-minded or average-minded discussions. Because a lot of times, what's wrong with participating in small-minded or average discussions? The main thing is it limits you. It keeps you, again, living your life from the outside in instead of the inside out, where your real power of choice is. When you really want to begin to remake your life, you got to start participating in becoming that great-minded individual who's seeking to feed your mind with greatness so that you can focus on becoming better than what you may find yourself at that particular time. Anyway, some of these discussions, after I yell and scream at the top of my lungs about who's better, Jordan or LeBron, I got a sore throat now. The muscles in my stomach, you know, are strained to their capacity. I've been screaming for so long, it feels like I had a whole body workout. At the end of spending that time, if it doesn't change or increase or transform my personal circumstances, what does it mean at the end of the day? I was looking at a documentary the other day, and it was talking about how it was talking about Rome. And as Rome, and a lot of people compare the United States with Rome, the empire that was Rome with the empire that is the United States. There's a lot of comparisons that people talk about. And it talked about how the Colosseum, for those who were in control of the politics, of the economics, of the empire of Rome, and they had control over a lot of, you know, the lives of, you know, the citizenry. And they wanted to maintain a certain amount of distraction amongst that citizenry as corruption began to filter into what was supposed to be, you know, a society that was created for the benefit of the citizens. This documentary that I was watching, it talked about the creation of the Colosseum, where everybody came and forgot about the corruption for a period of time. You know, they forgot about how bad the circumstances may be in their lives and why those circumstances were bad. And they would go to the Colosseum and they would pick, you know, which gladiator they wanted to root for versus the gladiator that somebody else wanted to root for. And how, you know, this took on a life of its own at a certain point, to where people, they chose their favorite gladiators. They began to choose their, you know, their personal preference as far as a football team or a baseball team or a basketball team. People started to pick their preference of who is my favorite singing or rapping entertainer. And then we begin to live vicariously through the fame, the wealth of individuals. And as we go along, we lose more and more touch with our own personal lives and what our own personal lives are supposed to be about, what we're supposed to be able to manifest through our own personal lives. So we become fans, not just of those entertainers, those sports figures, you know, or the movies. Which is your favorite movie? We become fans where somebody else is not just striving to sell us on which team to pick or which product to choose, but in the interim, while we're being led around from the outside on which team to pick or which product to choose or which person that we're going to put all of our time and attention on, we lose our own lives in the process. We lose our own ability to seek and become great ourselves so that we can overflow love, light, power, our own creative imagination into the world, into our relationships. So it's plain to see, as we pursue that way of living, why the world is falling apart at this point, why the world is crumbling around us. And instead of waking up at this time, a lot of us are striving to stay asleep for as long as possible. But it's going to come a time, if we're not careful, where there is no more opportunity for sleep. And a lot of us, if we're not careful again, we're going to find ourselves in a position where there's nothing that we can do. It's too late. The people who came before you to try to warn you, to try to help you to see what's what, so that you can get busy and do what you need to do. I see you, brother. End it. Yeah, on my phone. Did I say a name and it did that name? That's crazy. Oh, wow. Is there a way for us to start it up again? That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, it really did stop. All right. and I've gotten into the habit, the practice of, we're going live on YouTube as well. Wow, that got me bugging out right now. You got, all right. Yeah. I got you. Yeah, you gonna try to get me back up? All right, family. Yeah, they're gonna put rules and regulations on social media. And they've been talking a lot about, monetizing your ability to use some of these services that we've gotten used to, whether it be YouTube or whether it be Facebook or Instagram. And one of the reasons why I haven't really at this point in time been big on using music is I know Facebook, it knocks out, your stream from what I understand. On Instagram, you can use music. You can, on Facebook, if you use any particular music, it'll knock it out. So what I see right now, and found out, that if you mention somebody's name who is an entertainer, it'll knock out your feed. I was on Facebook Live and I gave a shout out to one of the family members who is an entertainer, hip hop icon, and apparently, by saying a name, not just the music, Facebook will knock out your feed. And what's interesting is the brother that I just shouted out and mentioned his name, he's asking me, he just texted me, yo, what happened to your live feed? And I'm getting ready to say, you happened. That's crazy. I'll take that call. Peace and elevation, family. Welcome to the Wake Up Project with Brother Mike X. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from, and what's on your mind.
Hey, good brother. This is me, Veronica, calling from Chicago. I'm like totally lost. I don't even know what the last thing was said because for some reason I went off the air. I went blank. I don't know what it is. But anyway, I had a question. Well, you had put a question.
What? Hold on for a second, sis.
Okay.
What apparently happened, and I just found this out just now, is, Facebook. We've been doing Facebook Live. And, I haven't really focused on bringing in the aspect of music, which I wanted to. But Facebook has this policy where they won't allow you to play certain music if it's copywritten, by, different artists. And if you play, somebody's music, even if you're trying to shout them out, it's not necessarily that, you're trying to present yourself as whoever that artist is. But even if you play that music, it'll knock out your live feed. So what I just found out is I just shouted out one of, my good brothers who is an entertainer and has music. He's a popular entertainer, and I shouted him out and said his name. And what it's looking at is looking like I didn't play one note of his music. But just by mentioning his name, it looks like Facebook kicked, ended the live stream.
Wow.
And, the sister who's in the studio with me, the engineer, she's striving to get me back up on Facebook.
Okay. I think you back up. It was like such a delay. It's back up, but it's like really delayed. So I just I'm gonna call in and just just go off this question that you posed tonight. This is tonight we will ask and answer the question.
It just came back up just now, sis?
I'm sorry.
It just came back up just now?
I believe so because I went back on to check it.
Right.
But when I looked at it, it seems as though it was starting over from the beginning. But I don't know.
I think that wow, I don't know either. Just let me do this right quick, sis, and then please jump in with your question or comment. Family, just briefly to let you know what happened with the live feed as far as this podcast is concerned, and the social media that we've been using. Facebook Live won't allow you. Yeah. Facebook Live won't allow you to use someone, entertainers, of whatever, and it doesn't even just have to be an entertainer. Just an artist of any kind, particularly a lot of people want to pay homage to popular artists, that they draw from, that they're inspired by. So I've wanted to use music on this show, but I know from practice that you can't share music on Facebook Live. It'll disconnect the live. So I haven't, used any music. I've made reference to music, and that's a little crazy to be honest with you, because I've mentioned other artists as I'm thinking about it, and it didn't interrupt the live. But I just gave a shout out to one of my good brothers who is an artist, an entertainer, and I just said his name. I didn't play one note of his music, and all of a sudden the live stream got knocked out, so that's what just happened, and it's kind of bugging me out. So I'm gonna strive to get my composure at this point, and I thank you for calling in, Sister V. And yeah. Let us know what's on your mind, where you calling from, and all of that good stuff, family.
Yeah, okay. Here we go again. This is Veronica calling out of Chicago. And I was looking at this question, which is a great question, Brother Mike X. You said tonight we will ask and answer the question, how can we begin to actively participate in our own healing and redemption? That's a powerful question. And I just thought about that because actually I'm in a healing process myself, not only healing from the conditions, but from, some deeply wounded stuff that, this conditions contributed to. But anyway, for me, personally, I think my thing is to read. I mean, I've been reading a lot of stuff, writing, getting with like-minded people, individuals that will uplift instead of, kind of sabotage your, anything that you tell them, and just stay in a positive, area. And also, too, what I'm coming to realize, doing the last couple of weeks, that it's okay if people don't think the way you think, or you don't agree with everything anybody might say. It's okay. I'm learning to just be like, okay, that's okay. Just how this individual thinks, and that doesn't discredit them for me communicating with them. I just know how to communicate with them on a level to keep, the peace, or to keep our relationship, how it is. So I'm learning a lot. I don't know, could you please give me your insight on what you think that needs to be done for us to actively participate in our own healing / redemption?
Definitely, sis. What we need to do, first and foremost, to begin to participate in our own healing, regeneration, and redemption, is we have to begin to put ourselves as individuals first, and hold ourselves accountable to seeking truth and applying truth to our own lives across the board. You know, starting with the self, starting with taking the healing of our and maintenance of our physical body temples more seriously. A lot of us, we want the best of both worlds. But as it says in the scripture, you can't serve two masters. Either you're going to latch on to truth and you're going to submit to truth and begin to pursue the truth, pursue exemplifying and becoming one with the truth through your own life. You know, there's things that we know we need to be doing in our own physical lives. We know we're supposed to be eating, you know, a certain way. We know that we're supposed to be staying away from certain, you know, foods that clog up our arteries, certain foods that cause hypertension, right. You know, certain, you know, products that lead towards diabetes and stroke and heart disease. We know that. We know that there's certain things that we need. We know we're not supposed to be smoking. Right. We've seen, you know, the warnings of the Surgeon General. You know, we know. We've seen the commercials of the blackened, you know, lungs, you know, filled up with tar. Right. You know, and cancer. We've seen it all. We know that we're not supposed to be doing certain things to these bodies. But still in all, we continue to do these things. Right. We know that, you know, hip hop has been turned into a poisonous concoction. Right. That has been genetically engineered to cause self-hatred, fear, and doubt, to cause depravity, to cause misogyny. A misogynistic culture where our women, where our sisters, where our females amongst us are used and abused as sexual toys and playthings. We know this. But a lot of us are still making excuses for what has happened and what has been done and what is being perpetuated through hip hop culture. Right. And not just the music, but the videos and the movies that, you know, that are rooted in, you know, what is known as hip hop culture. And we have people making excuses, man. Yo, that's just his story. Yo, he's just talking about, you know, what he's lived. Well, what about the challenge, man, of stepping outside of the box and using hip hop to heal, using hip hop to empower, using hip hop to reconnect our people to their history and culture, to their spirituality, to their divinity. That's the way hip hop was being used at my time in the 80s and going into the 90s that saved my life. You know, sis, I'll tell you a story right quick to help shine light on that. Okay. I was in Brooklyn the other night, and I was walking to my car. You know, I was getting ready to come back home, and I was wearing a shirt that it talked about the call for 10,000 fearless black men. And for those of you who, you know, have participated in the consciousness over the years, this shirt, I bought it around the time of the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. And I brought it from my brother, you know, the good brother Jabril. And I was wearing the shirt the other night. So as I'm walking, there's this brother standing at the bus stop. And as I'm walking up, my shirt caught his attention. And I could see him looking at my shirt and moving, you know, his body towards me. So I stopped, and he was like, he said something about the shirt. And I mentioned to the brother, some program that it reminded him of. I mentioned to the brother that this shirt was one of the shirts that came from the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. You know, when Minister Farrakhan was calling for 10,000 fearless, you know, black men, you know, to stand up in their communities and to take responsibility for themselves so that we can begin to rise, you know, have, you know, individuals in the communities itself that will take the responsibility of helping us to rise out of ignorance, out of fear and inactivity. So this brother started saying, yo, man, the problem I have with that is, you know, what came out of it? What came out of it? You know, may the Most High bless this brother. He was definitely focused on the negative side instead of the positive side. The positive side rooted in his own life. I said, brother, change is going to come when individuals commit themselves towards being the change that they want to see. And just like, you know, out of nowhere, this brother tried to pull me into a negative argument, you know, egotistical, prideful argument. And I didn't even know him. I never saw this guy a day in my life.
Yeah. But
he was primed and ready to look at the negative side, you know, the biased side, you know, to speak down on. Obviously, he had some type of axe to grind, you know, with, you know, the Million Man March.
Wow.
And he wanted to, instead of, you know, I tried to take him away from, you know, speaking about what it did or what it didn't do, which is focusing on the outside in instead of focusing on where your true power lies. Living your life from the inside out, using your power of choice, using your power of free will is where your power lies. And I tried to engage the brother like, yo, brother, what came out of it, hopefully, is individuals who are more committed to seeking the truth of their existence so that they can become empowered as individuals and not have to rely upon the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March or the 50th anniversary of the Million Man March. We shouldn't be more focused negatively on what's happening outside of us. We should be more focused positively on what we are actually doing ourselves. So this is where the change happens. And what that means specifically, sis, is for you to determine as you seek the truth and strive to relate it to your personal existence as a sister, as a mother, you know what I mean? As an aunt, as a daughter, as a member of our community. That's for you to work out. You know, that's for me to work out. What does healing mean? That's for me to work it out. I know where I know where I'm strong and I know where I'm weak. You know, I have a responsibility that wakes up with me every single time I awaken again. I have a responsibility to get up and to get moving. If I'm sitting back waiting for change, you know, to occur, you know, for the people, you know, who's running the country, the system, if I'm waiting for them to bring forth change, I'm wasting my life.
Right.
If I'm waiting for the people to wake up so that I can join on to this awakening, but I'm not living my own life of personal striving for truth, you know, for potency, you know, for empowerment. If my focus is on the people and how ignorant they have become, how weak they have become, and I'm not striving to be a vital force of change, then I'm wasting my life. So, you know, sis, that's the answer that I would give to you, you know. And I would say that whatever you are most attracted to, because you know, it's not for someone else to tell you exactly what it is that you need to do. That would take away the purpose of you having that life. Dr. King once said that we would be fools to think that God will come and take away all of our problems when he gave us brains that can think and hands that can work? That was his answer to that question that you just asked.
Wow.
It's a general answer, and the specifics are to be filled in by you, by your efforts, you know, to seek enlightenment and to apply that enlightenment first and foremost to your life, to your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual facets of your life. And then as you become empowered, you gain that balance. Then what is it? What gift do you have? You know, that you were uniquely created and shaped to be able to lay claim to and to be able to offer to the family. What is it that you do, that you have the ability to do? I can't tell you. I can't tell you that. I can only encourage you and let you know, as we was talking about in one of the former shows, I can only tell you, rest assured, that if you are alive today, if you woke up once again, and you are within earshot of this show, I can only encourage you and tell you for a surety that there's a reason you woke up again today. Your chapter is not over yet. There is still a chance, no matter how low your circumstances might be, for you to turn the corner, for you to throw off whatever it is that you've allowed to dominate your life in a negative way. You are being called upon to let go so that you can lay claim to a higher purpose. And what that higher purpose is, again, is for you to find out. You know, that's for you to find out. So,
that was an excellent answer, brother. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent answer.
Yeah. Peace and elevation to Sister Bren, Sister Bob, Sister Katrina, Brother Greg, Sister Vera. The number, right quick, is to call in is 718-705-4959 or 914-969-6499. So come back in, sis. How you know, what are you thinking about in relation to that answer?
I'm thinking about what you said about individualism. You know, working on your individual self, which is one of my personal goals. And I mean, just like I just know that I have to work on myself before and be an example to everyone around me, which is hard work. Don't get me wrong, because when you're born in the gutter or you've been born in a situation where all you see is the lower life level, that gutterness, that evilness, that treacherous, that vain stuff, and, you know, bring your conscience up. It's a battle to kind of rise up when those around you are still, you know, stuck in a situation where they really don't want to, you know, they really don't want to join on. They really want you to stop what you're doing so they can relax and be comfortable, so we all can be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. So it brings me back to just learning how to balance, you know, the old ways. You know, like they say, I think in the scriptures, you know, whichever one I forget how it goes, but it's like which one of you feed the most. This is about the demons that got cast out the person, and you know, they was going to and fro, and they couldn't find a resting place, so they went back to the house that they came from, and they ended up stronger. So just wrestling with what was, you know, the behaviors and the attitudes and things you used to do, and converting that now and battling, trying to, you know, rise up and do something different and do something better so you can grow and shine a light to those around you. It gets interesting. I won't say it get tough or get hard. It can be kind of interesting, extremely interesting. It can kind of wear on your mental and cause you to be a little bit exhausted at times. However, if we keep going and doing what we're doing, we keep rising up, we eventually, you know, reach that level of truth that we desire.
Yo,
so
sis,
that's my take on it, brother.
No doubt, no doubt. And you know, sis, I gotta say amen to what you just said. And I'm glad that you said it. You know, yes, we have been accustomed to comfortable suffering. You know, another word or phrase to describe that misery loves company crowd, comfortably suffering, you know, in situations and circumstances that we don't really want to stand up for. So what we do is either we watch someone else who is striving to make their way to climb out of that situation. Number one, to end their own personal suffering. And number two, to hopefully provide an inspiration to others that, yo, you don't got to put up with this. You know, we don't have to be crabs in a barrel, stuck, comfortably suffering, stuck in a miserable situation. We don't have to either deny our support from the one who's striving to climb out of that situation so that they can throw a hand back, deny that person our support, or hate on that person.
Right.
You know,
absolutely.
Pray for that person to fall down. Because if that person succeeds, they shed light on us for not striving ourselves.
That's right.
So a lot of times, sis, no doubt, there are some amongst us who put weight on the one who's striving, or the few who's striving to try to pick up the weight that should be evenly distributed between others who want to join on to the change that they say they want to see. A lot of times, sis, there is no we, you know. I used to say this years ago when I first stood up in the project development that I grew up in, Edenwald houses in the Northeast Bronx of New York City. I found a lot of times that there wasn't no we. A lot of times we skip over the necessary element that it takes to get to the we. Like, for instance, you just reminded me of this brother that I saw in Brooklyn. One of his critiques, you know, first he started critiquing, you know, well, what came out of the march? And then, and when I said to him, family, before you can get to the collective, you have to start with the individual responsibility that it takes to move towards building a strong collective. He ain't want to hear that. He ain't want to hear that. He's like, nah, we got to talk about collective responsibility. I'm like, yo, family, there can't be any collective responsibility or power, you know, brought forth if the individuals that make up the collective don't take it upon themselves to be individually responsible over their own thoughts and actions. He didn't want to hear that. So what I did, I tried to redirect him back. First and foremost, I'm just seeing you, meeting you for the first time. I don't even know you. And already you trying to pull me down into a negative, bitter, you know, contentious argument. You know what I mean?
Right.
So after I saw that I couldn't redirect this person that I didn't even know towards the necessity of us striving to take ownership over learning how to love ourselves in the most practical form, love ourselves enough to not participate in killing ourselves anymore as individuals first.
As individuals first.
Physically, killing ourselves physically by eating the wrong foods, by ingesting substances that are designed to take us away from dealing with the reality that we're living in, dealing in a responsible manner, you know, with the reality that we're living in.
Yeah.
You know, focusing on, you mentioned reading and studying, sis. Reading and studying for higher enlightenment, you know, to obtain higher levels of truth that we can begin to help, you know, that we can begin to focus on submitting ourselves to, so that we can ride and transform ourselves through the principles and standards of growth, of transformation, of success. A lot of us don't want to do that. So it's easier for us to sit on the sidelines again and say, yo, I got an idea for you, brother. I know what you should do. You know what I mean? Not even taking into the most positive acknowledgement of what I've already been doing for 27 years. The stances that I've already taken to step outside, you know, the box, or step away from the mass of our people, the safety, the relative safety of the mass of our people, to step outside of that and to strive to lead by example, exposing myself, making myself vulnerable to critique and possible attack, keeping it real, even though I'm not striving to speak that into existence. But a lot of people don't want to risk that. Before I came to the show tonight, I was standing outside a store and I was on the phone, and a group of white boys, that's the, you know, some will, you know, that's the best I can do to describe them at this point. It was about 10 white teenagers, you know, boys or teenagers, whatever. And as they was walking past me, and I was in a part of town that wasn't necessarily a black part of town, you know, and a lot of us, we live in those types of areas where, you know, if you step on the wrong across this street, you know, you stepped into a different racial class system or level, and people start looking at you like you don't belong here, and people will say things to you that they normally wouldn't say in another particular part of the town or area. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So one of the white teenagers, he said something sarcastic. I didn't quite catch what it was, but I can tell that this particular white teenager wouldn't have said that if he was by himself. He would have kept his mouth shut if he was by himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is what a lot of us do. We hide behind, you know, it's that mob mentality. Or as Elijah Muhammad or Malcolm X described it, you know, in the past, you know, throwing a rock and hiding your hand. You know, you in the crowd, you throw something to hit somebody, but you hide in that crowd because you don't want to take responsibility for taking a stance. You get what I'm saying?
I get, yes.
Yeah, so yeah, it's very hard sometimes to take the type of stance that needs to be taken within your community, within your neighborhood. And so a lot of people, they find it more beneficial or easier to sit on the sidelines and grumble and mumble, or to be on social media and to talk all of this smack about what needs to change and that person is wrong and this, that, and the third, but no effort, discernible effort to show of their own, putting their money where their mouth is. Go ahead, sis. I know you got some.
No. I'm taking up because you're absolutely right. As I think about it, me, you know, going through the transformation stage, and brother, I was there. I ain't gonna sit here and lie like I wasn't that angry person when I first started getting into the truth. You know, really angry, brother. You know me oh so well because you introduced me to that book. I forget the name of it. We're Much Afraid. I had seats on high places.
Yeah.
And reading that book, you know, that book really transformed me, my thinking on another level also. But just sitting here, you know, listening to this, I was like, dang, that was me. You know, sitting on the sideline, talking crap, like, this is what we need to do. And we're not thinking about what I can offer, not what I can do. You know, So it's interesting. I would like to say it's really interesting. But once we realize that we got power, that we was born with power, that we was born with a destiny, especially those of us who have been through a lot of trials and tribulations in our life, and we are still here, and we have not, we might have been, you know, a little bit, but we ain't all the way broke down. We still got power in us, and we still have a destination to reach. So each and every day, I strive to, you know, to read something, enlighten myself on something, learn a vocabulary word, do something productive. And I'm telling you, it's really paying off. As you know, a couple of years ago, we was on a Blog Talk radio show, brother. You could get me to say 2 words. I was like, nah, I would come on and say a couple of words, and now I'm kind of comfortable with my voice. I'm like, you know what? I got something to say. I got something to bring to the table that's valuable. Because now I'm valuable. And I try to put myself in a position that I'm valuable. That it's not, I'm just not nothing, or I'm just not, you know, just tossed around and it's absolutely nothing like we have been taught to think. So that is my take on that, brother. And this is good stuff. I'm really loving the energy and what you're saying. This is strength. I was telling Sister Hollywood about this. I hope she on. Sister, if you on, please come on in and join in. But this is great.
Well, let me say this to you, family. And, you know, while you was just saying that last piece that you said, I was shaking my head. And I thank you. I thank you. And you are most certainly right. You know, when I first met you some years ago, through Blog Talk Radio, through Pop's movement, to be more specific, long live the spirit of Pop's movement radio. Long live all of the many noble souls that I connected with and we connected with through Pop's movement radio. You know, my Facebook timeline, and even to a lesser degree, my Instagram, but specifically my Facebook, and maybe even my YouTube to a degree, is filled. I was going to say it's littered, but I didn't want to give that negative connotation to what I'm trying to say. My Facebook timeline, or my friends list, pardon me, is filled with members of Pop's Movement Radio from all over the country. People that I met and connected with through Pop's Movement. You know, I definitely appreciate you and what you offered back then. And I pray that you are still striving to bring value to your life as individuals, that you are allowing yourself to become a beacon of hope, a beacon of light, a beacon of love, a vessel of change, of redemption, of healing, wherever you find yourself across the many different inner city neighborhoods throughout this poverty-stricken America. I pray that you're still at it. And I say to you specifically, Sister Veronica, you a lot of times you was fearful, you know, to step up and to step out. And I gotta give you your props, because you have grown a lot. And I'm not saying that like to big myself up or to put you down, but I'm saying that to bear witness to what you just said.
Right.
And so I appreciate you committing yourself to the process of fighting through that shyness that I was talking about earlier. You know, your proclivity or leaning towards complaining and griping and protesting what's being, you know, the wrong in our neighborhoods, whether the wrong is being perpetuated by the system knowingly, or the wrong is being perpetuated by and through the pain, the fear, the ignorance of our people. You know, I thank you for fighting to tear yourself out of feeling like you have to be dependent upon the system to begin to accept truth in your life. or to continuously be broken up and hurt and angry about how negative and ignorant a lot of times our people are in these neighborhoods, to embrace your own power, you know, through seeking and exemplifying the truth, the highest level of truth that you can comprehend. I thank you so much for taking part in that process, you know, and through that process, you know, I strive to be as patient with you as possible through that process,
Right.
you know, and I'm not going to go too far into that,
Right.
but
That's cool. That's cool.
already, but you know, sis, but I remember having to counsel you at one point
Yes.
when you began to take on the responsibility of striving to pour into someone who was attracted to your growing light. And I remember you expressing some frustration, you know, with me about this particular individual you were striving to help. And I had to say, well, sis, you got to continue to first and foremost do what you need to do to continue to grow,
Right.
to
Yeah.
continue to grow. And also, as you continue to grow, you got to be willing to give a little bit of patience to that person who you're striving to
Right.
pour into. You know what I mean? So, yeah, sis, but I definitely appreciate you. This is a journey. This is a journey. And our lives, you know, our relationship, our growing relationship and practice of the truth, of the enlightenment that we're seeking, of the power that we're seeking. Us living the life, being for something positively. Being for what positively? First and foremost, your and my life.
Right.
Family, don't think that it's going to be, I know, you know, we get caught up in the action movies sometimes. And our favorite action star, we see them performing some incredible stunt. And we praise them for the incredible stunt that they were able to pull off. But a lot of times what goes unnoticed is the practice, the continual practice, the discipline that it takes to build up the strength, the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual strength. Wow. The physical, sometimes we see what they did, or what, you know, that miraculous thing that they did. And we pay more attention to the miraculous thing, and we forget about the years and years and years of practice that went into them gaining that ability to do that miraculous thing. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And this is why sometimes we start to hate on somebody else, not realizing that we have the same power or possible or potential power that they had. Because sometimes, again, we focus on the miraculous power that they're exemplifying before us, but we lose sight of the fact that that thing that they were able to do, it came again through years and years of discipline, through years and years of practice. And if we begin to focus more on the discipline, the exercise of practice in our own lives, we're going to begin to see the type of progress that you are showing and proving right now just through who you are. You know what I mean? It's not a stunt. It's something that's real. It's coming from your heart. It's coming from your soul. It's coming from your mind. It's not you overreaching to try to act like you have something that you don't actually have. You're
Right.
speaking tonight from something that you worked on acquiring. The confidence, you know, that you're displaying tonight by calling in. This is something that you've worked for. It's something that you fought for. And that's what I appreciate the most. So, sis, please, if you have anything that you want to say at this particular moment, please do so. And then I'm a free up that line that you on, because I
Okay.
just got a text from one of the family members that's trying to come through, and they said that they're having the difficulty calling in. So
Yeah.
I want to free up that
Yeah,
line.
because I get that. But my last thing I want to say is I want to tell everybody on that, look, we got power. We got power on the inside of us. If we exercise our little gifts and talents we have power. And add to that and study that and practice, you'll be amazing of the end product. And that's all I had to say, brother. And I'm going to sign off and let, good night, brother. It's a great podcast. I'm loving it. I can't wait to hear it again. But I'm going to fall back and listen, okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much, sis. I really appreciate you. Okay, family. The numbers to call in are 718-705-4959 and 914-969-6499. Family, I give much appreciation to the family, who's on the Facebook Live. Brother Oliver, Sister Natasha, Sister Jessica, the brother 2B. I hope I'm saying it right, family. I appreciate you. Brother Reggie. I think I shouted out Sister Bren already. I just found out something. I'm not that tech savvy, and I just found out something about Facebook Live that you can share, and invite people into the Facebook Live. Now, don't laugh at me too much, family, because we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. And when it comes to, technology, particularly, computers, computer science, and all of the fly things that we can do, I'm not the one that you go to. You know what I mean? What I do is it takes a lot of discipline. And first and foremost, I'm a student, a committed student. And I'm seeking a relationship with the highest level of truth that I can personally comprehend in every given moment that I'm alive. Do I fall subject to some of the fear, to some of the procrastination that happens? Almost definitely. Almost definitely. There's sometimes when I experience the fear of stepping out from the shadows, stepping out from the masses to strive to lead by my most positive example. Sometimes that fear, it sticks me in a period of procrastination where I know that there's certain things that I'm supposed to be doing. And I experience some of the icky feelings, so to speak, that comes from not being in the most positive flow of the individual life that you're living. A lot of the frustration, a lot of the sadness, a lot of, that turns into envy and jealousy of others when we see them in the positive flow of their lives. And when we start to get caught up in envying and being jealous of somebody else, a lot of times that means that you have wandered off of the path of you claiming and beginning to walk in the positive purpose of who you are and who you're supposed to be. Because I tell you, when you know who you are and when you're walking in your own positive purpose, there's no room for jealousy or envy of anybody outside of yourself. When you're walking in your own positive purpose and you're committing yourself to make the moves that you are supposed to make, that's in line with you transforming or going to a higher level in your life for the best of yourself and anyone else who wants to enjoy that type of connection with you, the result of that is an overwhelming feeling of peace and harmony begins to exude itself through your spirit, through your emotions, through your mental acuity, so to speak, is the word that just popped into my head. By the way you are looking at the world, you're not looking at the world going to pieces because of what you see, but you're building up a faith as you begin to walk in your own positive purpose. You begin to walk through faith, not by sight. Yeah, that's kind of like a religious statement, walking by faith, not by sight. What it means is that you have faith in the truth that you are seeking to connect with. You know, your faith in that truth, as you apply it to your life and you begin to experience the accomplishment of specific tasks that you're using your life to accomplish. That's when you begin to walk by faith. You don't care how things look as much anymore. You see the moves that those who want to keep this oppressive system of racial hierarchy that we've been talking about, white supremacy, black inferiority. Yeah, you see that. And you see members of the family who are still caught up, suffering comfortably in that misery. And yeah, that, seeing that sometimes it wears on you, or, it impacts you. But when you begin to walk by faith in the truth, and you begin to apply that truth, and you begin to know that you have power to choose to live how you want to live instead of being forced to live the way somebody else wants you to live. That's walking in faith. And when you're walking in faith and you're connected to your highest level of comprehension, discernment of the truth, when you're walking in that, you start to move towards becoming a master of your fate, a captain of your destiny. I stole that. I don't remember who said that. I just thought it was dope just now. It just popped in my head. Master of your fate, captain of your destiny. You become the author of your life's script. You don't have to submit yourself to somebody else's conception of how they want you to live. You don't have to commit yourself to that anymore. Once you realize that through seeking and applying truth consistently in a disciplined way, not allowing your life to fall back into fearful procrastination, the peace, the serenity, the harmony that begins to blossom through your attitude, through your emotional vibration, you can become a magnet for other people who are tired of the pain and the hatred and the chaos to join on to you. And this is what this is all about, family. So, again, I don't know. We got a half an hour. What I'm going to do at this point in time, I meant to show, should I show this video? Oh, man. Showing this video is important. I had got caught up on, talking about some other things that I felt needed to be said. But there was a video that I wanted to show in relation to, I thank you, Sister Jess. You still can't get through? Oh, man. Peace. I see you, brother Reggie. I see you, Dante. All right. I'm going to go ahead and... Wow. Well, I don't know what's going on. Wow, the family said that the lines is clogged up. All right. Yeah. All right, family. We're going to go to this video. I got a half an hour, 29 minutes, 30 seconds. I want to show you a video that I did a couple of years ago. And it was in relation to the horrible relationship that the adult population in the Black/African community has today with our young people, with our youth, with our teenagers. And I'm going to show the video right now, and we're going to use the last 15 minutes to talk about it after it goes off. And let's go to the video, family. Thank you.
Peace and blessings, family. This is Brother Mike X. Welcome to another clip from my YouTube channel, BruthaMikeXSpeaks. You know, tonight I want to talk to you about, young people in the black and brown neighborhoods, in the inner cities. There's many things going on with our young people. The growing numbers of our young people are becoming, anti-morals, anti-discipline, anti-education, you know what I mean? Anti-mainstream, and, the worst of it all, becoming anti-life. Our young people, they're not listening like they used to, in every black community, no matter who you talking to. When we talk about how it used to be, we talk about how there was once this fabled time, and it wasn't, I shouldn't say fabled time, because it was reality. There was once a time where we was together, you know what I mean? We was together across the board, from the adults on down to the babies, you know what I mean? And there was a tight, there was a close-knittedness amongst us, and we needed that, and we knew we needed that, because we didn't have access, to a lot of the, the mainstream businesses and other things. Racism was definitely more overt at these times, and because we knew these things, we had to practice, a cohesiveness. And, we talk about how, once upon a time, if you was out there, showing your behind, that, such and such, would check you, would chastise you and check you. And then they had a open line of communication and practiced a relationship, with each other, so that they would tell your mom later and your dad, and you would catch it again. And how we had that type of community bonding, and we used to share things, and you could knock on somebody's door for sugar and different things of that nature, and we talk about how that's how it used to be, but that's not how it is anymore. We've lost that cohesiveness. We've lost that bond. We've lost that practice of relationships and support. You know what I mean? And how does that impact the young people? Well, first of all, how does that impact our community? Our neighborhoods. It impacts our neighborhoods in a way where, because we don't practice that structure anymore, that cohesiveness, you know what I mean, where we are together as the parents and the adults, it makes it easier for the young people to not be together. You know what I mean? It makes it harder for us to be able to, wield a united front, so that we can help each other to raise, our children in a way where they would see the benefit in being together. You know what I mean? And because we've lost that structure, our young people are now turning to each other, for their lead and how they should live their lives. You know what I mean? So our young people, we talk about how our young people today, how they've lost respect for the elders. There's almost like, it's not just a loss of respect, it's almost like a contempt. We speak, our young people speak a lot of times towards the elders, with the utmost contempt. They have lost belief in the elders. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them, because too many of us as elders, too many of us as parents, adults, we don't practice anything that, would allow these young people to have the type of faith and trust and respect in us, that they should, if we were, had their back, if we was doing what we need to do to make sure that they can grow up in a community, you know, where it's safe, there's security, you know, there's opportunities and room for growth. You know, there's a structure of love, you know what I mean, and support, you know, where they're not out there by themselves, you know, subject to, you know, the worst things, you know, guns and drugs and, you know, police brutality and, you know, all these other things, you know, no jobs, you know, no economic base whatsoever to look forward to, you know what I mean, as they grow older. So it's like, you know, it's like a kid, you know, as an example, like myself. I grew up in a single parent household. You know, me and my two brothers, you know, we were raised by a single mother, you know, my mom. And she did the best that she could, you know, to raise me and my two brothers. And she was working and doing all the things that, you know, that she could, the best that she could, you know, but I didn't have a father, you know. And I've met my father. You know, I met him for the first time when I was 16 years old, you know. I had gotten into some trouble in the neighborhood and, you know, got jumped and, you know, my mom panicked and, you know, somehow, some way was able to reach out to this dude, this absentee dad, you know, and he appeared, you know, and, you know, we started trying to figure out, you know, awkwardly, you know, build, I guess, a relationship. And I remember, you know, his friends, you know, called him Mick. You know, yo, Mick, you know, what's up, Mick? You know, all of those types of things. So me, you know, this man had never been there for me. You know, he had never bought Pampers and changed diapers. You know, he had never held my hand, you know, going to school. He had never tried to help me to learn how, you know, to be a young man or a young boy coming up, you know, and how to deal with, you know, learning how to talk to girls and how to defend myself in the neighborhood and all of these types of things. He hadn't been there for that, you know, for that bond of love and trust to be created. So I started calling him Mick too, you know, and I remember him saying to me like, well, we're going to have to, you know, figure out what you're going to call me because, you know, and I'm looking at him like, yo, what? You know, what am I supposed to call you, daddy? You know what I mean? You hadn't been there. You wasn't there to build that type of bond, you know what I mean, of loving and caring, you know what I mean, to where I would feel that way to be able to call you daddy. Yo, your name is Mick. That's what they calling you. That's how I feel. You Mick. You know what I mean? And I tell you that, I give you that example because, yo, collectively, you know, this is not to say that there are not a lot of dynamic parents out there who are doing their job, you know what I mean, who are building loving relationships, you know, of trust and caring and support with their children, because that's definitely going on. But I'm talking about collectively, man, collectively. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. You know, we have left our young people out there without our presence, man. You know, we are not unified and organized to where we can do what we used to do to provide that structure of love, concern, and discipline. You know what I mean? So like I said, you know, we've lost, just like I didn't have any respect, you know what I mean, at the time for this new guy who's coming in here. And yeah, you look like me and what have you. And I know I came from you, but yo, nah, I can't, you're not daddy. You know what I'm saying? You're Mick. The same way with us. When our young people look at us, man, you know, I say again, they have contempt. They have a lack of respect for us. And I don't blame them for having that, because we're not protecting them. We're not providing them, you know what I mean, with what they need to be able to live successfully in this society, man, without having to make choices and decisions that put them at odds with the mainstream, that make it easier for them to be preyed upon, you know what I mean, by the prison industrial complex, you know what I mean. A lot of our kids, you know, they on a fast track to prison. And what's more is they believe that that's the way it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? We're not helping them to make odds and ends out of the educational system. We're not helping them to make odds and ends out of, you know, the political system. We're not helping them to learn how and to believe that, you know, education, you know, is something that has, you know, power, you know what I mean, for you and people that look like us. You know, when we say, you know, go to school, you know, get that education. You know, I could hear the young people saying, not even almost, because I work with kids, what is education supposed to do for me? You know what I mean? And it's a real question that we got to start contending with as parents and as adults. What is education doing in the black and brown inner city neighborhoods? You know, what fruit can we point to that directly comes from being educated? You know what I mean? That has put us in a better position. You know what I mean? As the parents, as the adults, that the young people can see. You know what I mean? Benefits that we have accrued through the process of public school education and, you know, going up that ladder into, you know, high school and college and what have you. You know, we don't own nothing. We don't control nothing. You know what I mean? We are subject too many times to being dependent on outsiders, man. You know, for basically everything that is needed in our community. So our young people, a lot of times, I think our young people, you know, to be honest with you, not only have they lost respect, you know, not only have they developed a contempt for us collectively, you know what I mean, as parents and adults. You know, not only have they done those things, but I feel like our young people are boycotting us now. I just really feel like, you know, they might, you know, they haven't declared it. You know what I mean? They haven't openly declared it. They might not even have thought about it on that conscious level. But I find, you know, I think our young people are really boycotting us. You know what I mean? When we look at the saggy pants, you know, the you know, down past the butt and all of that, you know what I mean? I feel like our young people are trying to go to the extreme to disassociate themselves with the adults. You know what I mean? They've developed their own way of looking at things and acting and dealing with things, like I said, and they put more faith in each other than they put in us. And I say again, man, you know, I don't blame them. You know what I mean? And so, to the adults, if we are to reclaim and rebuild relationships with our young people, you know, we got to get humble, man. We got to get humble. And we got to recognize that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And we got to recognize, you know what I mean, and own up to the fact that we've let our young people down. You know what I mean? We have not been present in their lives, in these communities, the way we are supposed to be present. You know what I mean? And so the growing lack of respect and contempt that they are showing towards the adults and the parents, you know, it's you know, it's a repercussion. It's a repercussion of us letting them down and not being there. So we got to get humble. And we have to begin to return to the young people with humility, you know, and we have to begin to apologize to the young people. That's right. I said apologize to them. Apologize to them for us not being who and what we are supposed to be in their lives. You know, us not being unified, us not being organized so that we can build the structure. You know what I mean? The village that it takes to raise a child. You know what I mean? We have to apologize to them for that. And we have to go after them. We have to stop pointing our fingers and looking down our nose at them and talking about how it used to be. And, you know, the young people used to respect the adults and this, that, and the third. And you should show respect. Yeah, that's how it used to be. That's how it used to be, because at that time we were practicing a stronger presence in the neighborhoods. You know what I mean? And if we want to reclaim and rebuild the relationships with our young so that we can help to direct them and save them from being eaten up by this system, you know what I mean? We have to get our act together. We have to learn how to unify. We have to learn how to practice a dignity and a strength again. We have to learn how to exhibit, you know, the fruits of what education is supposed to bring to people who submit to it. You know what I mean? And if we apologize to them and return to them with love and concern, you know, to build that relationship, I believe that they will return to us with love. And then we can begin to practice community again, family. So, you know, think about that. Let me know what you think. Peace and blessings.
Hey, peace, family. It's all on us. It's all on us. I'd like to say peace to the family, Martin, Joanne, Sister Diane, Sister Bren, and everybody else who has been with us for the last hour and 45 minutes. There was a call that was trying to come through. What do they say? Murphy's Law? You know, whatever can happen will happen, I believe it says. There was trouble, you know, getting through the line for a long time, you know, during the show. And then as soon as we go to a video, then all of a sudden, here we go. Peace and elevation. Please let us know who's calling and where you calling from and what's on your mind. And thank you for calling in.
Well, it's Jessica.
Hey, sis.
Hey, look, I know it's the end of the show, but I said I was going to be persistent with calling in because I wanted you to know that I was here. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it short because I know you're getting ready to close out. Tonight's show was amazing. The information, the knowledge, everything that was shared was absolutely amazing. But there was one thing that I wanted to share that's very important. And you said this, discipline. Discipline. We have to discipline ourselves to remain focused on what we're trying to accomplish in whatever capacity in life it is. We can't, you know, like you were speaking about our temples and what we feed ourselves and all of that. In order to restrain from that which is negative or that which is killing us, we have to apply discipline. We have to. And everything in general, you know, in order for us to move forward, like, we have to work on self. We got to. And understand that it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. But in order to remain consistent, it takes discipline and self-love.
That's right. And
then love for our people. So, bro, that's all I'm going to say for tonight. And, man, just thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this platform. Just thank you.
You know, I thank you, sis. And we're going to strive to arrange it, you know, as we move forward. I want to try to set it up so you can come through much earlier, you know, and I'm going to commit myself to that, you know. So you have a lot to offer yourself, and you encourage me, you know. You encourage me just like Sister V, and there's others, you know, who was on the Facebook Live and what have you that encourage me. You know, family, life happens. Life happens. I think sometimes some of us have fallen to the level where, you know, if somebody doesn't connect with you within a prescribed amount of days, we start thinking negatively about them, you know, instead of first and foremost striving to send well wishes, you know, and meditations of uplift and prayer for their well-being, you know, and then also, you know, connecting with people on a level where you know that person, you have faith in that person, and you know that person is doing the work, is committed to striving to bring forth their best self, you know, and you're that type of individual, Sister Jess, you know, as well as our Sister Veronica, you know, both of y'all from Chi-Town, you know. Chi-Town gets a lot of, you know, negative press, man, but knowing that two individuals such as yourselves are out there striving to get y'all lives together, you know, it makes me feel like there's some hope, you know what I mean? So, you know, let's continue to build, Sister Jess. Thank you for coming through.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was in a loud place and I didn't want to it to be distracting with the
I got
the
you.
broadcast.
I got you. I got you. Any last thoughts you want to share before you leave, sis?
I just want to tell our people to be encouraged, man. I mean, I think a lot of us are, not a lot of us, but I think many are discouraged. When you were speaking about the young people and their contempt and stuff like contempt towards us and things like that, it's a lot of discouragement because you don't have nothing to. It's like, what can they attach themselves to? What examples do they have? Like, these are questions that I think that they ask. That sometimes they look for the help, but because many of us are so caught up into our own life and our own reality, we, like you said, a lot of people they kind of leave the young people behind. So again, just be encouraged, y'all. Know that I love you. Know that there are people out here that love you, Brother Mike, myself. It's a lot of us out here that love you. You just gotta seek it. You just gotta seek it. You gotta reach for it because we're here.
Already.
And that's it, bro.
All right. Thank you so much, sis. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And we'll talk soon.
Already. Got you.
Okay.
Got you. So, family, we got 7 minutes left, a little more than 7 minutes left. And I just want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to begin to rob some of the discussions that you're having, those small-minded discussions. The misery loves company discussions. The comfortable suffering discussions. Rob it of your focus. Energy flows where your attention goes. If you look at the world as a dark and decaying thing that can't get no better than what it is, then that's what it's going to be for you. But if you begin to take your attention away from the outside and begin to funnel your hopes, your aspirations, your dreams, to strive to divert that energy and breathe that energy into your own discipline, to take control and ownership of your body temple, to take control and ownership of your thought process, to take control and ownership of your emotional vibration. Instead of looking for reasons to differ and to argue and complain and to be jealous and envious, to begin to look for reasons to see the best of what life has to offer, to see life as a wondrous, miraculous thing, and to see your ability as a vessel to overflow, to focus that energy, to overflow that energy, to uplift the conversations, to uplift, your connection with other people, to go higher, to focus on being the great mind that you've been called to be, that you have the potential to be and become. Sister Veronica mentioned a book that I had put her onto a few years ago. It's called Hind's Feet on High Places. And it was an allegorical book talking about, and it was not only was it an allegorical book, but it was kind of like a Christian themed book. I just turned off our Black Power people, man. Our Hotep Ma'at people. They don't want to hear nothing else I got to say now. Some of y'all. But it was a powerful book. And when you stop trying to fit in to distinct, marginalized, narrow-focused groups, when you stop trying to fit into those groups more so then you focus on being able to accept truth universally from no matter whatever group or thought or consciousness or philosophical base or ideological base, you'll be able to grow past, getting caught up in reacting. I can build with anyone, because I'm striving to connect with the highest truth that that particular philosophical, cultural, ideological, spiritual, or even religious base represents. I'm not seeking to differ with people, you know, because of, you know, so-called clashing points of view. I'm seeking to unite with you because I'm seeking to connect with the truth that is to be found in the philosophy that you claim. You know what I mean? Because all of these philosophies and religious points of view, 9 times out of 10, whether it's comedic science, whether it's, you know, the 42 positive whether it's the 42 laws of Ma'at, you know, from the negative side or the positive side, for those of y'all who study Ma'at, whether it's Christianity or Islam, whether it's Nation of Gods and Earths, you know, whether it's law of attraction, the whole essence of any of those things is you finding the path between where you are now and the highest manifestation possible that's open to you. You know, it shouldn't be about you grabbing onto something and then you going to war with someone else who's holding on to something different. Whatever brought you to where you're standing at this moment, you should be thankful for it. You should be thankful for it. And someone outside of you that's able to meet you at the intersecting pathways, that common ground called the present. Whatever got you here, I'm glad you here. I'm not going to say, you know, damn, man, you got here by some inferior way, man. I can't unite with you. Go back and do it over. Nah, that relationship should be the most important thing. Each one of us has something powerful to bring. I was talking about last weekend on the show that our unity should be founded upon using our unique individual strengths to cover up the collective weaknesses of our brothers and sisters. When each one of us starts to commit ourselves to walking and talking and moving in discipline and strength, then we'll begin to see the empowerment that a lot of us are longing for. But as long as we continue to keep ourselves narrow-minded and limited and marginalized and holding on to whatever particular, you know, segment of the truth or you know, then we'll continue to fight each other. And you as an individual, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. It's time for us to move out of these lowly conversations and begin to rise in who we have been called to be. So having said that, I say peace to Arthur K. I want to say peace to brother who came back on the line, but I don't want to get Facebook to kick us off again. I say peace and elevation to Sister Gwen. I hope that I didn't leave anyone out. Family, let's continue to build. Let's continue to strengthen ourselves. And let's begin to work towards what we are actually for, instead of continuing to react against, you know, what it is that's outside of us, that's striving to keep us from finding our most positive selves. I got 10 seconds left. I say connect with me on Instagram, BruthaMikeX. Connect with me on Facebook. Well, you're already connected with me on Facebook, most of you. And connect with me on YouTube. We're striving to grow our subscriber list on the YouTube platform. I could be found at BruthaMikeXSpeaks, BruthaMikeX. And as I sign off tonight, I challenge you to do something good for yourself. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You are the change that you've been waiting for. So have a great and prosperous evening. Peace and elevation.